afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our committee meetings for this September quarterly meeting of the Tennessee Board of Regents. Before we begin our committee meetings this afternoon, I just want to make some announcements and recognitions. First of all, to Dr. Mixa and the outstanding team here at Walters State Community College, we thank you for the hospitality. It is a great honor to be here on the nice Wanger campus in beautiful and historic Greeneville, Tennessee, so this is quite special. I was amazed when I asked one of the staff just now what year this opened. This building is now 2 years old, 2017, and I think from our walk through it, you couldn't really tell that. This is treated with care and pride, and there are busy students everywhere we went this afternoon, so this is a proud addition to the TBR system. We are honored to be here. To Jerry Young and the team at the Teacut in Morristown, not too far down the road, we thank you for that delicious lunch. I never turned down green potatoes and gravy. That was particularly good on all fronts, so we thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you tomorrow morning as well. I also want to mention that State Senator Steve Sutherland joined us for lunch. We appreciate the support of our state legislators. We couldn't do this job without them, and it was very nice of him to come join us and spend a few minutes of fellowship with the team. We thank you. I want to introduce more formally, although the board has now had a couple of meetings and sessions with our new student regent and our new faculty regent, and I promise this is the last time I will introduce you two, but since we have not been with our presidents and other staff yet, I do want to make it official for the final time and to welcome you all to our board. Emily Dollar is a student at Walters State, and in fact, she just told me while she lives closer to Morristown in her PT program, this is where she's taking all of her classes, and she loves this facility. Emily, tell us a little bit about yourself and your many accomplishments.
Well, hi again. My name's Emily Dollar. I'm actually a Senator's Page on the Morristown campus, so I work on campus giving orientations and doing graduation ceremonies. I am a third-year student. I just started the PTA program this year. I have an Associates of Science when I graduate, and when I graduate from the pre-T program, I'll have that also.
Very good. And a Phi Theta Kappa member, so
also
an honor student. Excellent, excellent. Welcome again. We're glad you're here. And to our new faculty regent, Dr. Kenneth Goldsmith, who is Director of Legal Studies at Chattanooga State Community College. When you hear him speak, you will know immediately that Dr. Goldsmith was not raised anywhere close to Greeneville, Tennessee, but he got to Tennessee as fast as he could, as they say. Tell us about yourself, Dr. Goldsmith.
Well, thank you, Emily. What I could add to that is I had a short tour of the police academy, and I let them know that the last time I actually held a weapon of any type, which was a .22, was when I was 12 years old. And my uncle thought I should learn how to shoot squirrels off the front lawn. Fortunately for me at that time, the squirrel ran away, but I enjoyed the tour of the police academy. So I'm not from these parts, that's true. At Chat State, like you mentioned, I run the paralegal program. I'm also very active in high impact practices. I'm the master faculty for study abroad. I take students every year to do a service project, working with refugees in Greece. And I've had a very good experience in really learning how to be effective as a teacher at a community college. I had taught once in my life before working at a community college. I taught it as an adjunct at Broward Community College one semester. So it took me a couple of years to learn how to really be effective. And so I'm really glad to be here. And I hope I could add that perspective of teaching and learning to the board.
Thank you. We are delighted again that you're on the TBR team at Chattanooga State. You've done so much there too on the international front and really broadening horizons for the college and for our students. So thank you for that as well. And already in the few meetings where we've had the pleasure of Dr. Goldsmith's company, you have made some great contributions with that faculty perspective, and we thank you. So once again, I promise that is the last time we introduce you to, but we are delighted you are both here. With that, Regent Apple, you chair our Economic and Community Development Committee, and you will lead us off this afternoon, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I want to thank everyone for being here this afternoon, and I'm calling the informational meeting of the Committee on Economic and Community Development to order. And Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Chair Apple,
Here.
Regent Verdine,
Here.
Regent Gill,
Here.
Regent Goldsmith,
Here.
Regent Griscom,
Here.
Regent Hatch,
Here.
Regent Pepper, Regent Garland. You have a quorum.
Thank you. The quorum will proceed, and I'm going to call on Vice Chairman Pierre for a presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Apple. What we have today are 3 agenda items to discuss with the committee. Apprenticeship update, Higher Education Commission preliminary numbers for our workforce for the 18-19 academic year, and an update on TBR ECD projects. I'm just going to update you on 3 main projects, not everything our group's working on, but some 3 main projects. Employers can, the first one that I want to update you on is the TCAT Nashville Electrical Apprenticeship Empower program. Employers want to continue to face obstacles in attracting and retaining workers with in-demand skills. Tennessee's challenge is to identify effective workforce solutions and collaborative approaches that benefit both the job seekers and employers. In response to this need, the Tennessee College of Applied Technology at Nashville opened their first apprenticeship program as an electrical apprenticeship registered program for Empower Electric. And they had a signing day on August the 30th. A little history on this because I think it's important for the board to understand how this project developed. Empower met with TBR's Department of ECD. They met with Labor and Workforce, THEC, and the Tennessee Department of Education, along with our Northern Middle Tennessee Workforce Board. Through the private-public partnership, the training program that Nashville is designed and implementing, they did that in less than 8 weeks. The rapid response time was helped by Empower Electrical donating classroom buildings of materials, as well as 2 companies stepping up to donate the necessary tools and equipment for their students to be able to teach what they were trying to learn. The apprentices have completed the National Career Readiness Certificates at Nashville, and they will begin taking the related technical instruction classes September 23rd, and I think that's Monday, right around the corner. This earn and learn opportunity will provide the apprentice and the employer a very structured skill development pathway, as well as help to meet the workforce needs in a timely manner. So hats off to TCAT Nashville. Apprenticeships are continuing to grow. Nathan Garrett, I get tickled at him because his phone rings constantly, and it's companies and campuses calling for his assistance with what's going on with apprenticeship plans. Another good example is the apprenticeship success with the Metropolitan Nashville Airport. Again, it's an electrician apprenticeship. They are hiring 5 people that will go through the program in September. The airport was very direct in that they wanted to hire 5 high school graduates to go through this program, and they will begin they'll be hired in September, and they will start taking classes January 2020 at TCAT Murfreesboro. Some of the other program areas that we're hearing from, of course, the electrical, but as well as construction and manufacturing trades. We're getting a lot of calls for apprenticeship programs in those areas. But we're also hearing from healthcare, IT, and transportation. We do think that apprenticeship programs in Tennessee are here to stay, and we think that they are the future of skilled labor in our state. At the request of several of our campuses, Nathan will be traveling regionally across the state to present some workshops on apprenticeships and how the schools can better work with their industries, and we can all work together and have a statewide system. And we're excited about being able to do that. Still on apprenticeships, we're excited to be a part of the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development $1.4 million grant from the USDOL, which is called the Apprenticeship State Expansion Grant. Our office worked with the state ECD office along with Department of Labor on their application for this grant. Through this grant, the state will hire 3 regional coordinators to work with their local industry and our local colleges to create new apprenticeship programs. A key component of the strategy that we're going to be using is that the TBR institutions will help form an apprenticeship model. This approach will encourage small and medium-sized companies to partner in apprenticeship programs. Very much like the Arcan model, where a few companies send a few people to make up a class. By joining forces, the companies will have a lower investment and still realize the increased workforce outcomes. The grant does include some funding for apprenticeship curriculum development and, again, local people to work with our campuses. So that was a nice addition. Next agenda item, we're taking a look at our workforce training hours. As you all remember, the Tennessee Higher Education Commission requires the Tennessee Board of Regents to submit our community colleges' workforce hours. We see ourselves as a complete system, so we've collected those numbers and we've sent those to THEC, but we've also collected the TCAT numbers as well, because I think it's important to see system-wide what we're actually doing. These numbers are for the 18-19 academic year that's just ended. They are preliminary numbers, but I can trust you we have gone through them very carefully, so we won't get the total numbers until December. But what we have, I'm happy to report that all 40 colleges together served over 83,000 people in the state of Tennessee. We served over 1.2 million hours of contact, and this is an 18% increase in training hours and an 8% increase in headcount. And again, that's for all our campuses. That is in addition to the 118 academic students that TBR serves now at our 40 institutions, the credit-bearing side. So I think hats off certainly to the workforce group and what they're doing. This slide just represents some of the companies that this campus has worked with. You'll see big companies, small companies, public companies, private companies. Our campus has worked with all of them. Training topics range from manufacturing, information technology, healthcare, leadership. The campus has served 807 different companies for our colleges to provide new or upgrade employee skills. All of these skills, whether they're new skills or upgrading the skills that current employees have, enhances Tennessee's workforce and makes Tennessee an even better place for people to work and live. Our third agenda item is going to be an update on a couple of our projects. I'm going to start first with our U.S. Rural Business Cooperative Services Grant. The United States Department of Agricultural Rural Development has awarded the Tennessee Board of Regents a $250,000 Rural Community Development Initiative grant to improve educational and workforce readiness in rural communities. Our West Tennessee institutions will be working with the National Rural Education Association, local school systems to provide financial and technical assistance to improve community and economic development in Chester, Decatur, Henderson, and Perry counties. The school districts that we're working with will be the county school districts in those 4 counties, plus we will also be working with Lexington City Schools. As a part of this grant, each of these counties and city groups that are working together, they have to match this grant. So these communities have come together. They have raised $250,000 as well to be able to work together and to even get the grant to begin with. Some important components of this grant: 1, resources will be allocated for dual enrolled students to earn certifications such as the National Career Readiness Certificate. The grant will also provide for a regional digital portal to support curriculum development from across the area and provide a one-stop access to resources and toolkits for school staff, parents, and students. And again, in some of the rural areas, this is really a wonderful opportunity for them to have this all together and be able to use that in their education. My favorite part of this grant is because what they're going to pull together will be regional and local workforce data. So the students will be able to see in their area what jobs are needed, what skills are needed to get those jobs, and how they can make better career choices, and I like that. The last item on the grant will help the TCAT serving these 4 areas, and that's mainly TCAT Jackson and Crump, to work more closely with K through 12 students on technical career awareness at an earlier age. They'll be going into the middle schools talking about careers. I don't think it's ever too early to start talking to and working with students and letting them know what career options are available. And in the past, we really haven't done a lot of that, to my knowledge. The campuses will also work with the school systems, business and industry leaders to develop high school and college curriculum to meet the area's workforce needs. We will have access to the best practices and on career identification and development of career plans. And this grant to me can be summed up in just one fast sentence, and that is to me that it is taking the best of business and industry and working with K through 12 and the post-secondary partners to really help create that strong workforce that we need going forward every single day. According to the Rural Development State Director, Jim Tracy, he said that the grant proposal submitted by TBR is the first of its kind to be funded by USDA, and that it can serve as a model for similar programs across the nation. And that is the goal, that we have this proposal, we do a great job with it, which I know the campuses will, and the counties will, and then they can make it scalable across the country. So that's exciting. The next project I wanted to update you on is to take a look at the prison project that we have. Working with re-entry programs with our prisons and jails are not new to the TBR institution. In fact, Dyersburg State and Nashville State have been providing credit coursework successfully at the Northwest Correctional Complex as well as the Turney Center in Middle Tennessee. Coursework has ranged from some single classes when they first started, such as English Comp 1, General Psychology. They have advanced to associate degrees in Business Administration and Political Science. Several of our TCATs have been working on technical training in our jails across the state, such as Jackson, Oneida, Pulaski, Chattanooga, McMinnville, and Harriman. So we're used to doing this. But how under Governor Lee's leadership, TBR can be able to do a lot more. The Governor's Correctional Education Investment Act plan is going to provide Tennessee with the opportunity to provide a full landscape of educational opportunities to those behind the bars in Tennessee's prisons, ranging from the opportunity to complete a high school credential all the way through the completion of a post-secondary or technical credential. Beginning in January 2020, which seems like it is just almost going to be tomorrow, as fast as it's going, TCATs Oneida, Dixon, and New Bern will offer computer information technology programs and construction courses at the Turney Center Industrial Complex, Northwest Correctional Complex, and Morgan County Correctional Complex. State funds will cover the instructor and program supplies for 3 years. The goal that we have in this particular initiative is that we will be bringing on a new prison facility each year for 3 years. Last year, I think we're just adding 2. Next year, we will be expanding to the women's prison, and also we'll also be going to Bledsoe as well throughout the year. But we'll end up having 8 new projects that we'll have going on. Through this initiative, the TCATs will work with the prison population and award workforce certificates to those who complete the program. Once the inmates are released, they can use prior learning credit to get the full benefit of what they've learned and to complete a diploma and certificates at the TCAT, opening doors to high-demand careers. Another huge partner in this grant is, of course, working with the Tennessee Higher Education Commission, and they are going to be hiring 3 re-entry navigators. These are going to be people that will be housed at these particular prisons that I just mentioned, and they will help the inmates kind of navigate the post-secondary college world, from going through financial aid, applications, and course selection, so that when they exit the prison, they'll know exactly how to get into the higher ed system. And I think that's a wonderful part of the grant, of the project. TBR will hire fund a position to assist with this project and the coordinator of special programs. Reentry programs in Tennessee are going to help former inmates make the transition into a productive employee who arrives on the job trained and ready to go to work for employers across our state. And we are very proud to be working with this project. And the last agenda item that I have is to talk about TBR Workforce Development Month. We heard a few minutes ago about the 800 plus companies, the 1.2 million contact hours, and the 83,000 Tennesseans receiving training from our workforce campuses. Workforce training is critical to Tennessee's success. It is also an important component of TBR's mission, as we well know, and it is a top priority of Governor Lee. TBR is highlighting and celebrating Workforce Development Month throughout September 2019. Thanks to the TBR marketing staff, the great staff there, they have developed a toolkit which is going to that has hosted many activities for social media posts, newsletters, press releases to promote workforce development across the state. I hope you've been tweeting and seeing some of the tweets that are going out. This is our first attempt at any type of campaign like this. We've learned a lot, and again, we're very proud of TBR's marketing group, and Jennifer Fuchs from our office have just done a great job getting the information out. And our campuses have done a wonderful job sending things in and sharing information. So I do just want to share just a couple in case you're not tweeting and you're not on Instagram and you're not on some of those social media items. The first one that I'm just going to highlight is from Pellissippi, and it's highlighting a quote from Denso, from their Vice President of Engineering. The next one is from Montlow, and they're taking a look at ABB robotics and the importance of working with our campuses to make sure that we're training the workforce. The next one is just one of my favorite stories, and this gentleman is Alfred Jones, and he's from Southwest Community College. And Alfred returned after 10 years to Southwest Community College to receive his associate's degree in Advanced Integrated Industrial Technology. This decision to go back to school after 10 years came about when Jones enrolled in a non-credit technical course through Southwest Workforce and Community Solutions that were paid for by his employer. Jones acknowledges that finishing his degree has helped him advance in various manufacturing roles while working at the Hershey Company and also securing his maintenance position as a maintenance planner for Mitsubishi Electric. It all started with a non-credit workforce program. And I think that's real important for us all to remember that the work of these departments that are called non-credit, which I hate that word, those workforce divisions really can help students succeed and be successful in the workforce and make a difference. We also had some input from TCAT New Bern, where they're working with Fraser Industrial Company. From the quote, you can see that they're talking about how that partnership has helped them, being able to share space, working together, interviewing, finding candidates. I think my favorite part of this one was that James Daniel, the welding instructor at TCAT New Bern, took the time to go on site to Fraser, talk about their welding processes, watch them, see how they're doing that, and be able to take that back into the classroom, incorporate in his curriculum to make sure that his students were graduating with skills that were needed in their area to help them one step above the other candidates that they might be interviewing against. Fraser's very pleased with working together and told us that they're still looking for more employees and to keep sending more and more to them. So that's nice. And then again, we've just got a couple of other ones just to show you just some types of things that went out through the marketing department. This young lady did her internship from TCAT Covington at Rose Construction. And sometimes we wonder what students really do when they're out either co-oping or doing their internship. Karina's accomplishments included creating 5 educational articles on cybersecurity, writing a health and wellness article for their company newsletter, designing a recruiting flyer for a career expo, serving as an interpreter to assist Hispanic employees, and assisting with front desk tasks and activities. They were thrilled with her and asked that they continue to send students just like her to do their internships with their company. Then we also have a great quote from the Oak Ridge National Laboratory recognizing Rome State and Pellissippi. They say that because of the institutions are effectively preparing students to succeed in diverse fields, including some that are still rapidly evolving, it's making a difference, and it helps Oak Ridge tackle the big workforce problems today and tomorrow. I don't think it gets any better than that. I've got one more thing to show you. I think Carol Tomlinson's going to help me, and this kind of just sums up some things. I just want to show you a quick clip because we talked about Facebook, we talked about Instagram, we talked about some tweeting and some things like this. This actually was on the television in Oneida, Tennessee. We're just going to play just a little bit of this. And it's about TCAT Oneida's lineman program. This was on the news the other day.
Power lines, and there is a growing national demand for linemen who can build and maintain some of those main staples in the utility system. 10 News reporter Sean Franklin shows us how the Tennessee College of Applied Technology is working to meet that demand.
It's the only place in the state where you can use scholarship money to learn how to build and maintain power lines. The Tennessee College of Applied Technology here in Oneida says it is ready to help its students be prepared for what can be a dangerous job.
And that's just an example of another part of Workforce Development Month. Without a skilled and talented, vibrant workforce, there is no way that Tennessee can continue to lead the nation as the state of choice for workforce development and economic development. We must continue to have a strong workforce. We believe that Workforce Development Month is a time to focus on creating a stronger and more competitive workforce that we have. It is a time to work together, business, industry, and education, to expand apprenticeship programs and internships, and continue to make Tennessee a great place to work and to live. I am very excited. We've got about 10 more days left in September, and I know that our campuses will continue to send in great items and stories, and our marketing part will send those out. But it is a good time to be in Tennessee. Chairman, this concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions? Yes, Mom.
How do we determine what we're going to, what skills we're going to teach those who are in prison incarcerated?
Actually, we had some conversations with them about what was feasible to bring in, and worked with the governor's office and the institutions to kind of talk about what we could take in and work with them. So it was that dialogue. We also looked at the jobs that were in their areas. I have learned a lot about prisons, and just because you go to a certain prison does not mean when you leave that's where you're going to stay, because you could be from anywhere in the state, and they move prisoners from time to time. So we try to find good, solid programs that would be statewide, such as your IT and your construction. Those are real strong programs statewide for all the areas.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Puryear. And I appreciate the committee members to be here for the update. If no one has any further business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. The Committee on Economic and Community Development stands adjourned.
Thank you, Regent Apple. And as Dr. Puryear said, it is a great time to be in Tennessee, and that report summed up so many of the reasons. So thanks for all the hard work. Regent Prescott, you are up next for our Committee on Academic Policies and Programs. Please, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Committee of Academic Policies, Programs, and Student Life. And we have a number of policy items to approve by voice vote, and so there you go. I'm looking for you. Executive Vice Chancellor Russ Deaton, if you would come up. I think you're in charge of all of these. That would be good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Regent Duckett. Regent Dollar. Regent Pepper. Chair Prescott,
Here.
Regent Barlin, Regent White.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Mason, and thank you, Vice Chancellor, too, for reminding me of that. So the first item on the agenda is the proposed dissolution of TBR Policy 20010101, which is permanent or semi-permanent off-campus instructional facilities. So, Russ, if you go on with that.
Sure thing, Regent Prescott. Well, first let me note, it's been 3 weeks since we have been without Vice Chancellor Randy Schulte. We are missing his presence and miss him dearly. The work before this committee goes on, and it has continued to go on because of the work of the academic affairs team that's largely behind me. This is their work product, and they have gone above and beyond in his absence to keep things running. So I just want to thank them publicly for that. This is a dissolution, as you know, Regent Prescott. This policy is essentially no longer applicable for our purposes. THEC actually has criteria for off-campus instructional facilities. They have the final approval authority for that. We will adjust our own facilities policies to address that part of that component of proposals for them, but essentially this is no longer applicable for our purposes.
All right, thank you. So we need a motion to dissolve this policy.
So moved.
Regent White. Second, Regent Barlin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the dissolution of policy 20010101, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and the policy has been dissolved. It's passed. All right, the second item is the proposed dissolution of TBR policy 2020000, which is associate degree programs. Dr. Deaton.
Yes, ma'am. This policy is essentially no longer applicable in our post-focused world. This policy spoke to the priority of community colleges to award associate's degrees over universities. As we no longer govern them, that is no longer applicable to us. Recommend dissolution.
All right, again, I need a motion to pass this. Regent Barlin, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of dissolving this policy, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The ayes have it, the motion passes, and so we've dissolved that policy for now. All right, proposed revision to TBR policy 2010200, which is vocational program review and approval. Dr. Deaton.
This policy does some cleanup work and provides some definitions to TCAT academic awards, essentially defining what we mean by diploma and certificate. Also speaks to some procedures for how schools are to propose programs to us, just a process by which that happens, submitting them through curriculum, for instance. So just some clarifications on that procedure, minor adjustments.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve this proposed revision?
So moved.
Regent White, and a second? Second. Thank you. Regent Barlin, any discussion?
Can I just ask one quick
You
question?
may.
On our warranty now, that's, I don't think wrapped up in this
It would not
policy.
address
And
that,
should it be, is it wrapped up in any policy, and if not, should it be?
I don't know if the warranty is addressed anywhere in policy, but we can definitely take a look at that, sure.
Okay. Okay. I'll leave it to you guys whether or not it needs
Sure.
to be just a question. Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The ayes have it, and so the motion carries and for these proposed revisions. All right, item number 4 is proposed revisions to TBR policy 2040000, academic and registration calendar. Again, Dr. Deaton.
Regent Prescott, this takes formally a guideline, turns it into a policy, and it makes a few changes that are substantive. One is it removes references to Tennessee eCampus because, of course, courses and the calendar belong to institutions, not to eCampus, of course. And it also provides flexibility for the timing of fall and spring breaks. Now they are all consistent and concurrent. This allows schools to time theirs appropriate with their local LEA so that the local K-12 school district spring break is aligned with the school's spring break. And it makes a few other minor adjustments to some minor details, but in the main it addresses those two broad academic calendar issues I mentioned.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve this proposal? Regent White, do I have a second? And Regent Marlin, thank you too for all of this. Is there any discussion or any questions about this proposal regarding the calendar? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it, and this motion passes for the proposed revisions. All right, item number 5 are proposed revisions to TBR policy 2070000, which is on the cost of textbooks. So, Executive Vice Chancellor.
Yes, ma'am. So you're all familiar with the Digital Engagement Initiative. Spoke about it this morning, essentially us addressing the cost of textbooks, and led by Dr. Robert Dent on the staff. This basically adds some definitions to this policy, essentially encourages us as a system and our schools to be more aggressive in addressing textbook costs. So for instance, this policy now defines open education resources, puts some definitions to that term so that we all are working from the same definition. And OER, another acronym you'll hear, is essentially free, openly accessible materials that are available for faculty and students to use in the classroom. Defines that term. It also defines inclusive access, a subscription-based model whereby materials are available upon registration that are then available to the student to use throughout that semester, along with some supplemental study materials. So basically, the policy revisions define those terms and encourages us as a system to pursue greater efforts in e-textbooks and lower cost materials.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve this proposal? Thank you, Regent Duckett. Is there a second? Second. All right, I'm going to recognize Regent Dollar, though, Regent Marley, because she raised her hand over there. Is there any discussion, or do we have any questions on this? Is an important policy, I think. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion passes for the proposed revisions on the policy around cost of textbooks. All right, the next item is the proposed new technical program implementations, modifications, and terminations for TCATs. Executive Vice Chancellor.
Yes, ma'am. We have 19 new program proposals for you today and 9 academic program modifications. And of course, all these are in the effort to be as immediately responsive to industry and local needs as we can be. And we feel like we've done that. To go through these at a very high level, TCAT Knoxville, Blount Memorial Hospital, programs in nursing, aid, and practical nursing. TCAT McKinsey, the Weekly County Center for Adults and Industrial Maintenance Integrated Automation Program. TCAT Memphis, IT and Infrastructure Management, along with IT and Infrastructure Management dual enrollment at Collierville High School, one of the stronger TCAT high school partnerships we have in the state. Also TCAT Memphis, the Bartlett Service Center, you see 6 programs from mechatronics all the way through welding technology. TCAT Oneida, 4 programs, 2 at Morgan County's Regional Correctional Complex, connected back to what Dr. Perdue was talking about with the correctional facilities and higher ed, along with an industrial maintenance program and dual enrollment program at the York Institute in Farming Operations Technology.
One quick one on the farming piece, if you don't mind, Regent Prescott, the Farming Ops Technology. Is that somewhat similar to what we rolled out at Crump at the TCAT there?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Also TCAT Oneida, truck driving, welding technology at York, criminal justice, a correctional officer program. And we have 9 program modifications that meet requirements for COE. These again are trying to be more responsive to the particular curricular demands of local industry in the area. I went one slide too far, but I will just present that item for,
Thank you.
For action.
It's very exciting to see all of those programs, and particularly the collaboration in the community. So do I have a motion to approve these proposed new programs and modifications at TCAS. Thank you, Regent Pepper. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Thank you, Regent White. Any discussion or questions? Regent White?
That's the accrediting ranking for our technical colleges. That is, we have SACs for the community colleges, and COE is our technical colleges accrediting body.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this proposal say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it, proposal passes. The next item is approval of new degree programs for community college.
One new program, one we're very excited about. Dr. Torrance is in the audience too, if he wants to make any comments. Montlow State has a new Associate of Applied Science in Entrepreneurship that is scheduled for implementation spring 2020. It's essentially to provide an opportunity for students who want to own their own businesses and develop their skills in entrepreneurship. Students who don't intend necessarily to transfer to a four-year school. This program will be available through both online and on-ground delivery at the main campus, as well as some of the off-campus locations in Smyrna and Fayetteville, etc. The estimated enrollment to be 40 to 45 students, hopefully with 19 graduates once the program is fully up and running. A key element of the program is the use of prior learning assessment, essentially a competency-based education tool whereby what students bring to the program from their prior work experience or knowledge that is evaluated and utilized towards the program of study. Students can earn up to 30 hours through PLA, prior learning assessment, that avenue. This is the first degree of its type at TVR Community College, and there have been numerous letters of support from local industry and surrounding partners in the area, and so we're pleased to offer it to you for recommendation.
Great. Again, another exciting program. Do I hear a motion to approve this proposal? Regent Dollar. And how about a second, Regent Duggett? Thank you. Any discussion or questions on this one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it, and this proposal is approved. We've got two more items. The next one is institutional mission statements, and for a synopsis of that, Dr. Deaton, would you?
Sure thing. This may look familiar to you. We brought an initial draft of these to you for action about 2 meetings ago, and since then we've done some refinements which we're bringing to you today. We've had conversations with THEC about these. Both the Complete College Tennessee Act and the Focus Act require institutional mission statements for both four-year and community colleges, not the TCAS. And these are distinct from mission statements used for accreditation purposes. These are more profiles of the campus, who they serve, programmatic distribution, just kind of how they fit in with their local community. They're used in many ways by THEC in the outcomes formula development. As you know, those outcomes are weighted by mission, and this mission profile gives a bit of a reality check to THEC as they develop the formula model. We have standardized these a little more than what you saw in a couple of meetings ago. They utilize current data from the dashboard and profiles. And they are distinct for all 13, and we recommend them for approval to you and submission to THEC for their consideration at their next quarterly board meeting.
All right, thank you. So do I have a motion to approve this proposal? Regent White, second. Second, Regent Pepper. Any questions or comments on this? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it, and the motion passes. So the last item is the highlight of the Skills USA National Awards 2019. This is for informational purposes, and I'll call on Vice Chancellor Heidi Lemon for that. Thank you, Dr. Deaton.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to bring to you the accomplishments of our institutions in this year's National Skills USA competition. We had 27 TBR institutions that traveled to Louisville, Kentucky on June 24th through the 29th to represent our state at the National Skills Competition. You can see here out of the 27 colleges, we had 65 advisors, 135 contestants, and 7 state officers this year. With 12,605 members who are part of our delegation as a state this year, that is the largest post-secondary delegation in the country. And you can see our highlights of how well we did at the national contest. We had 135 contestants, 65 championships, earning 38 certificates and 42 medals. 80% of our students scored in the top 10 or higher at the competition. This highlights the institutions and where they placed with 3 gold medals, 10 silver medals, and the 29 bronze medal category recipients there. And we're happy to announce that TCAP Pulaski was a national finalist for the Models of Excellence at Skills USA this year. And that is my report.
Well,
I'm very happy at how well we did this year.
I'm, as you should be. I think this is really a place where we're able to just shine and show what we do nationally, and it's exciting to hear about it. Does anyone have any questions of Dr. Lemon?
How do we get to host one of those things here?
That's a national organization's decision. Yeah. They have to have a very large facility for this competition because of all the space you need actually for the contest themselves and just by the sheer number of people who come. So I believe I think they're moving to Atlanta in the future. They've already kind of secured those facilities well into the future. Yeah.
We need Tennessee.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, Bridget.
How do you, and I could be completely wrong here, it doesn't seem like the participation from our schools was as strong based on what I've just looked at.
For the 27?
For this year, I mean, usually our numbers are higher and more awards, I thought.
No, we did really well with the awards this year. Yeah.
Okay.
So we continue to be very strong.
Was the participation as
You know,
strong?
we continue to scale in terms of including our community colleges because so we're continuing to grow there. We have a lot of interest from our community colleges in terms of participating in the competitions.
Yeah,
and
they're so new.
And they're still fairly new to that process, but we continue to add more every year.
Okay. I just seemed lower.
Excellent. Anyone else? Thank you so much, Dr. Lemon. Exciting things happening in the academic and skill arena at TBR. So that concludes the items on our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Regent White. Is there a second? Regent Pepper. So our meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much, Regent Prescott. We are making good time this afternoon on all this good news. We will now give the gavel in effect to our Finance Committee Chairman, Regent Duckett. Please, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Today we have 2 items to be presented. Prior to going through those items, I would ask our Secretary if she would please call the roll.
Regent Burdine.
Here.
Chair Duckett.
Here.
Regent Gill.
Here.
Regent Griscom. Regent Hatch.
Here.
Regent Prescott. Regent White.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Again, we have 2 items of business on the agenda for today. Both of those items are informational items in nature. The first item on the agenda is the presentation of the report of the Technology Access Fee Spending Plan for fiscal year 2019-2020, and I would ask Vice Chancellor Gibbs if he would present the plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. As you indicated, our first item today is informational in nature with regard to the Technology Access Fee Spending Plans. As you all recall, TBR Guideline B60 requires our staff to annually review 25% of the institutional TAF spending plans to determine if they're in compliance with TBR and TAF guidelines. Kind of also as a reminder, the current TAF fee for the community colleges is set at $116 per semester, while the fee at TCATS is at $73 per trimester. This year we reviewed the plans for 4 of our community colleges and 7 TCATS. We reviewed the plans for Dyersburg State, Motlow, Roane, and Southwest. And then for the TCATS, we reviewed Covington, Hartsville, Jacksboro, Nashville, Oneida, Ripley, and Shelbyville. And we are pleased to report that all of the plans that were reviewed were found to be in compliance with applicable policies and guidelines. And so, Mr. Chairman, this concludes our information report on the TAP spending plans.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Gibbs. Does anyone have any questions regarding the technology access fee spending plan? That yes was not in response to a question that I heard. Given that this is an informational item, no action is needed, as indicated earlier. As such, we will move to the second and final item on the agenda, which is the plan proposal regarding system budget requests to be submitted to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. Vice Chancellor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to provide you with a brief overview of the budget request process. On an annual basis, board staff develops a list of system funding needs that are not recognized through the higher education funding formula. Items identified generally are for the benefit of the system as a whole and aligned with the state's strategic goals. Review of these items by the board is the first step in this process, and today I'll present you a list of items under consideration for submittal to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. However, it's the intent that after today's report, we'll continue discussions with various stakeholders before finalizing the list of items that will be submitted to the Commission. Any TBR items endorsed by the Commission are then forwarded to the Governor for his consideration in developing the fiscal year 2021 budget recommendations to the General Assembly. From there, the General Assembly will ultimately determine which items are funded and included in the final state budget. As you can see in the chart before you, the items being presented today total approximately $27.3 million, with $11.1 million of that being on a recurring basis and $16.2 million on a non-recurring basis. There are 7 items being presented for consideration. Each of these were described in your material in your packet, so I'll just touch on each one briefly today. The first item under consideration is a request related to student support personnel in the amount of $3.9 million recurring. Funding is being requested to expand the advising capacity at our colleges. Each community college would receive additional funds to expand their advising capacity consistent with best practices to improve student success and consistent with prior investments by the General Assembly. As you're aware, student advising and counseling are critical components of student access, retention, and success, and has gained greater prominence as a strategy to support Tennessee's completion agenda. A couple of years ago, $1 million was approved on a recurring basis to support this advising model. These funds were received, are being used to provide student success coaches, interactive advisors, and peer mentoring programs at our community colleges. The interactive advisor provide academic and transitional support to first-year transfer and continuing students applicable to their academic and social and personal responsibilities. The peer mentoring program allows for a way to scale and enhance the interactions between the advisors and students through the use of current students as peer mentors. Schools also identify best practices in student outreach, mentoring, student engagement outside the classroom, and mentor support provided in the first-year seminar courses. And again, this is the information basically that Heidi reviewed with us this morning in our informational session. Funding would go to continue to support those initiatives. Additionally, as part of this request, each of the 27 TCATs would also receive funding to add a student support specialist to, among other things, assist students in the transition from K-12 to post-secondary, as well as finding a job in their field via career services function. The $3.9 million per year is being requested to provide funding for a minimum of 1 FTE per school to provide the services just described. Our second item this morning that we're discussing is the competency-based education program. And again, this was something that we heard about in this morning's informational session as well. The competency-based education is an approach to instruction that emphasizes mastery of materials rather than simply seat time as the measure of student success. This student-centered accelerated approach redefines traditional credit-based requirements in learning and stresses competencies derived from the skills proven to be most beneficial by educators and employers. With competency-based education, institutions can help these students complete credentials in less time, lower cost, and with a focus on real-world learning that leads to greater employability. This versatile model provides benefits to the student, the instructor, the institution, and the economy as a whole. And if you recall, this is the cornerstone, really, of the TCAP model and is utilized by other colleges throughout the country to good effect. So funds requested would support faculty to convert their courses to the competency-based education model throughout numerous programs across the state. And again, estimated costs are a total of $1,050,000, with $550,000 of that being recurring, and then $500,000 being non-recurring for curriculum development.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
What's the time frame, Danny, when we think this will be completed and ready to be used?
Well, of course, the cycle that we're on for funding, it would be 2021 at that point in time. As far as the time to get these programs up and going, I would estimate probably an academic year to begin this process and start to develop the programs. And this first round of funding could probably get in place maybe 100 courses across the state. Our next item is related to safety and security at the TCATs. In March 2016, then interim TBR Chancellor David Gregory created the Campus and Security Task Force with representation from across the system, which at the time included 6 LGIs as well as our 40 institutions. The committee was charged with examining best practices around the country, reviewing current campus practices and resources, identifying areas of greatest need for support, and making recommendations for realistic opportunities for improvements across our system. Since that time, our colleges and the LGIs have been blessed with receipt of $2 million per year over a 3-year period of time to remediate some of the most pressing infrastructure needs identified in the report. The 2016 Safety and Security Report also recommended that each institution should employ at least one security or police officer responsible for campus safety. The report also recommends that the TBR should create a system safety and security department to carry out the operational expectations. To this end, we are recommending the funding of a TCAP police department that would provide one police officer at each of our 27 TCATs and a director of safety, chief of TCAP police that would be housed at the system office. The police chief would have oversight of the TCAP police officers across the state. These funds will continue the investment that Tennessee has made in campus safety and security by adding police personnel at each of our TCATs, along with the appropriate equipment and vehicles. The estimated cost of this is about $2,977,000, with about $1,927,000 of that being on a recurring basis for personnel costs, and a little over $1 million for startup equipment costs.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
So our community colleges have officers on their campuses, and the president, if I remember right, is responsible for those actions. So we're going to have somebody at system level, which is appropriate. What role will the presidents of TCATs have, or what coordination will they have in terms of this being applied on their individual campuses?
Good question. I mean, I see this as a dual reporting responsibility. I guess the technical end of it would report to the police chief here, and he or she would be involved in training and so forth. But then kind of the day-to-day assignments and operational part of it, the officer would work directly with the TCAP president.
And can you remind me, will these individuals be commissioned?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Commissioned police officers.
Can I ask? Go ahead.
Sorry, and I apologize if this has already been addressed. Several of the TCATs have
several satellite campuses under them. Is it just up to the president where this officer goes, or how does that work? That is correct. I mean, this is a limited resource. It will not be enough to cover every site, and it will not be enough to cover even perhaps on the main campus every hour that the campus is open. You know, often it's 7 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, you know, before class is let out. But this is a step, I think, in the right direction. And you know, if there's you know, I guess financial resources available at the campus level, if they wanted to supplement this, they could. But I think we need to get a good baseline started with this, and I think establishing a commissioned police officer at each site is the best approach with limited resources. Thank you.
One other thing, do we know or should we know if local police chiefs support this?
We have not polled them, but my experience in the past, for example, at Rome State, I was there when we stood up the police department, and it was supported locally then. And there's usually a memorandum of agreement that's executed between the campus police department and the local police department for providing each other with assistance.
Mr. Junior.
Yes, ma'am.
This is really shows the beauty of having that plan and projecting what we need and what the costs were. How far along does this take us and the previous monies that we received to funding all the recommendations that were in that safety plan?
Oh, good question. If I recall correctly, the total request in that initial plan was around $9 million.
Because I know it included the LGIs also.
That is correct. That is correct. That is correct. But I think if you look at the heart of the plan, I mean, the two major things that jump off the page at you is the infrastructure that we've worked on for the last 3 years, basically hardening the classrooms with changing out locks where they can be locked from the inside, and then actually getting some boots on the ground on our campuses, I think, are the two major things in the report. All right, thank you. Our next item relates to regional higher education workforce coordinators. Crucial to Tennessee's economic vitality is the strong coordination between higher education and economic and community development agencies, both state and local. This investment will strengthen that connection by adding 2 people in each grand division whose job will be to connect local and regional industry needs with higher education institutions. Also, the liaisons will assist with recruiting new industries for the area. These TBR ECD coordinators will act as liaisons as TBR moves to effectively and quickly respond to industry needs across the state. And again, this request is for $700,000. It's going to provide for 6 coordinators, 2, I think, in each of the grand divisions, salaries, and some travel and operating expense money.
Mr. Chairman, I ask a question. This may be more directed to the Chancellor. The task force that you're on that's looking at the overall effort for ECD, economic development, is this something that, as you look at it, that's probably going to be part of that conversation so that there's that coordination going forward? So it might be that this budget item ends up coming out as a recommendation from that joint group rather than from us. Is that
Absolutely.
Okay?
And that is part of the reason why Danny worded these recommendations to you as he did in the beginning, because right now we're still having those conversations with several state entities that we're not sure where these budget items might end up. This is directly to help with our Division of Economic Development in covering the state of Tennessee. We envision each one of these would be housed in one of the 3 grand divisions, because you saw the amount of work that Carol and her 2 other people in that department are managing right now. So this is in an effort to be more responsive to business and industry than we currently are. I've had discussions with Tony Nicknajad out of the governor's office on this one as well. He was taking this back to discuss it further from that level as well.
Sort of on that same lines, it's been my experience in all organizations, private sector and those that had government experience too, that the recurring programs like this and like the student support personnel and the competency base, it's not huge money, and when you're looking at $1 billion budget, it can easily get lost, and we will all roll off the board, and some of us will retire, and 5 years from now, our successors will probably not even know it's there. I don't know whether this is the right place to bring this up or even how it will be done, but is there a way for us to request some kind of annual report back to the board that says we expected these things to do these things, and here's the report on it, so that we'll know what the outcome is, and so that we can look each year and say, yeah, that money's still being well spent, or life has changed. I don't know exactly, I don't have a motion to make because I don't even know how to do it, but I wanted to bring it up and get a discussion and ideas and input on that.
I think that's a great point, and as we look at the budget every year, we do try to talk about the positions that we have open to make sure that we are staffed appropriately. So to continue to monitor that, I think is obviously something that we need to do to make sure that we are using the dollars wisely.
And I expect that, but for the board, there's no way for us to have any knowledge of it. And yet we are potentially approving an expenditure that's going to go into perpetuity, and that no board from this point forward will know much about it. Is there any mechanism we can put in place and say, for these expenditures, these reoccurring small expenditures that are set to do something specific, that we can get some kind of report on them on an annual basis to see if they are doing those specific things?
So what I would recommend is that we attempt to identify the specific items that we would want periodic reports on, and to the extent that it's possible, then identify a committee and or some other structure so that we would get those reports, because I understand your point, and it does make sense for there to be some type of periodic monitoring of it, but I would need to get with the chancellor and others to identify just, number one, what's the best reporting vehicle to accomplish this, and then just bring it back to the board so that we have the list of things that we want monitored on an annual, quarterly, or whatever basis, and how it will be accomplished. But if Chancellor, if you don't mind, and Vice Chancellor Gibbs taking that assignment on to bring back a recommendation to the board.
Okay. Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, two other quick questions. One, I assume our presidents like this idea?
Yes.
Okay.
I think any support that they can get in their areas, yes, they would appreciate that.
Okay. And second thing, these individuals will be located not necessarily in Smyrna, but be in the grain divisions themselves.
That's correct.
Good.
That's the intent. Okay. Our next item is technical program capacity for the TCATs and community colleges. As you're aware, to meet current and emerging industry needs, our colleges must have the financial capacity, to meet those needs. Also, as you know, many of the TCAP programs are both equipment and labor intensive. So for our schools to meaningfully and quickly launch and expand programs, it can be a capital intensive, especially during the early years of a new program. This investment would allow TCATs to meet current industry demands that exceed capacity and to more quickly respond to needs as they arise. Similarly, this request will also allow our community colleges an opportunity for investment that will allow them to be more responsive to the industry needs as well. The estimated cost for this program would be $4 million on a recurring basis for personnel and operating costs, and then on a non-recurring basis for equipment funds, a $10 million request is submitted for this particular item. The next item, the technical program capacity for TCAP Morristown, is a $3.63 million non-recurring request. TCAP Morristown is in the final stages of design of a 45,342 square feet Advanced Manufacturing Center for their Morristown campus. The building will house programs in mechatronics, HVAC, welding, and machine tool. Total cost is estimated at approximately $15 million. This request is for the additional funding needed for state-of-the-art equipment for the various programs. The estimated cost is for equipment $2,270,000. Additionally, $1,360,000 is also being requested to renovate existing space to accommodate the expansion of the auto mechanics and collision repair programs. And then the final item also relates to TCAP Morristown, and it's for funding for potential acquisition of some land. Again, this request is for funding to acquire some available land next to the TCAP Morristown campus for future expansion. There is some property that will be available, and they're interested in some funding to assist them with that acquisition. Mr. Chairman, this concludes our report regarding the potential system office budget request.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Gibbs. Does any member have any additional questions at this time? Hearing none, is there any other business that needs to come before the committee? A motion to adjourn would be appropriate. Is there a second? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Duckett. It is now time for the Committee on Personnel and Compensation, and we'll call on Regent Hatch to chair that committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I call this committee to order, I want to remind Vice Chair Reynolds, pay attention now, I want to remind Vice Chair Reynolds that this month represents the 50th anniversary of her and I meeting in 1969 at a brand new junior high school in our hometown. So it's been a good 50 years.
His math is terrible. And he's been harping on this since dinner last night.
Maybe it was only 20 years ago.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, it was 1969, and thank you. I'm honored to be serving with you here.
All right. So I'm calling the Committee on Personnel and Compensation of the Tennessee Board of Regents to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. Chairman Hatch,
Here.
Regent Green, Regent Shockey, Regent Varlin, Regent White,
Here.
and should anyone need to leave the room for any reason, Vice Chair Reynolds, will you agree to be a member of this committee? Thank you. You have a quorum.
All right. The technical quorum will proceed with the first agenda item, which is tenure upon appointment. And I'll call on Executive Vice Chancellor Russ Deaton for the recommended proposal.
Thank you, Regent Hatch, members of the board. We solicit each year from community college presidents recommendations for tenure upon appointments. We received one of those from Chattanooga State Community College, Dr. Beth Norton, Chief Academic Officer, whose profile is in your materials. It has been reviewed thoroughly by the staff and recommended for approval.
All right. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion for approval? Thank you, Regent White. Thank you, Regent Garland, for that second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Second item is approval of the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs recommendation. I'll call on Chancellor Tidings for this proposal.
Thank you, Chairman Hatch. As all of you are aware, Dr. Schulte has retired from the system. He left on August the 30th. The Vice Chancellor's position was posted in late June, and the search committee consisted of Dr. Russ Deaton, Wendy Thompson, Dr. Heidi Lemming, Dr. Carol Puryear, Dr. Kim McCormick, Dr. Jeff Sisk, and Dr. Tracy Hall, representing the two community and technical college arenas. The search committee met on August the 19th. The committee reviewed 28 candidates and narrowed the list to a group of 3 finalists to be interviewed. Interviews were held on September the 16th, and from those interviews, the recommendation from the committee that I would like for your consideration today is Dr. Alana Hamilton. You have at your place a copy of Dr. Hamilton's vita, as you can see, which is quite extensive, making her very qualified for this position and one which we would be very excited to have her fill. If approved by this committee, Dr. Hamilton will start to work on October the 16th. Our current president for TCAT Jackson and Whitefield, Dr. Jeff Sisk, has agreed to serve as interim president of Jackson State Community College, and he is also available to begin his interim appointment on October the 16th.
All right, thank you, Chancellor Tidings. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion for approval? Thank you, Regent Barland. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Regent White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3A, proposed policy revision. I'll call on General Counsel Mary Moody for the recommended proposal.
The proposed revisions to the policy on parental leave are to the provisions addressing how sick leave may be used towards parental leave. And they are being proposed in order to bring the policy in compliance with state law on this issue. I recommend approval.
Thank you. Do I need a motion for approval? Is that it? I do. Okay. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thanks, Regent White. Second, Regent Barland. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 3B through G, additional proposed policy revisions. At this time, I'm recommending that we defer the action on 502-0310, tenure at the TCATs. And if there are no objections, we'll have Dr. Deaton review all of the remaining proposed policy changes, taking time for questions or comments between each one.
Thank you, Regent Hatch. The first one you see there, 5020210, faculty rank promotion at TCAS, simply expands the policy so it explicitly includes all faculty. For instance, even Tech Foundation's faculty. So it expands it to all of our faculty now at TCAS.
Any questions? All right.
The next one on your list, 502033, academic freedom and responsibility. This simply updates the language post-focus, for instance, referring to colleges, not just community colleges, also removing references to universities.
Any questions? All right, next.
Next one is academic tenure for community colleges. Again, also makes some language updates, and also rather than the policy referring to, for instance, the fall term, we now refer to specific dates in the calendar whereby the tenure decisions would fall. Also, some rewrites of Section 5 by the legal office that address clarifying notifications for tenure track decisions for faculty.
All right, thanks. Any questions? All right, next.
The next one, 5020700, appointments at community colleges. This essentially clarifies the ability of turning a term appointment of a faculty member that used to be at the discretion of a president to award tenure is now clarified in policy, and that person's prior experience as a faculty member on the term appointment can be evaluated in the tenure decision. In previous, that was done by exception. Now it's just included in policy to give the president that discretion for that tenure decision for that kind of faculty member.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Next.
And the last one, financial exigency. Again, updates language post-focus, and we now explicitly update the language on TCAS, referring to their leadership as presidents, things of that nature, cleaning up and modernizing the language.
All right. Any questions? All right. Do I have a motion for approval of these policy revisions? Thank you, Regent Barland. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Regent White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. If there's no further business to come before the committee, may I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you. And now a second. Thank you. The Committee on Personnel and Compensation for the Tennessee Board of Regents stands adjourned.
Good work, my 50-year-old friend.
Not bad for a couple of really old people.
Speak for yourself. This theme has got to stop. Thanks to the committee for appointing Dr. Lana Hamilton, the Chancellor's recommendation for our new Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. Lana, are you still here? I saw you at lunch. Come on down. Bring us greetings. I told her earlier that the community of Jackson, Tennessee is tearful today. Exactly, that's right. You've done such an outstanding job there.
Well, thank you. I am just very honored and humbled to have this opportunity. As I told the committee and as I explained to Chancellor Tidings, in 1991 I began my career as an adjunct faculty member teaching biology at Northeast State Technical Community College. And that has been my passion and the love of my life for many, many years, 25 plus years, not quite 50, so I may back that down to about 15 years. But I do want to say thank you. I am just looking forward to working with each of you, working with the system office. And I also would like to say thank you to the Jackson State faculty, staff, and administration. They have made Jackson my home for almost 3 years now. And so it is a bittersweet goodbye, but thank you.
Thank you. As you said to me earlier, though, this position will allow you to still continue to work with Jackson State in many ways. So that's the good news, on the good news side of this. Congratulations. So you will be terrific. With that, of course, we'll be launching a search for a new president at Jackson State Community College, and I'm pleased to report the Chancellor will begin work putting the search committee together. But Regent Prescott has agreed to chair that effort, and we are very grateful. Thank you. There you go. That's your challenge. That's a challenge. Very good. Folks, before we head to the Committee on External Affairs, I'm going to turn the floor back over to Regent Duckett. We need to complete one more item of business on I think that last item we discussed prior to adjourning. Regent Duckett.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. The last item that we discussed was the plan proposal regarding system budget request to be submitted to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. It is an item that involves financial matters, and I presented it to the group as an informational item only. However, out of an abundance of caution, since it is a financial request to THEC, I would like to reopen the committee so that we could actually have a roll call vote so as to avoid any uncertainty as to whether or not
I'll move the
actual
approval.
vote.
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you call the roll for purposes of the vote?
Regent Burdine.
Aye.
Chairman Duckett.
Aye.
Regent Gill.
Aye.
Regent Griscom. Regent Hatch.
Aye.
Regent Prescott.
Aye.
Regent White. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, committee members. I'll adjourn it again.
Thank you very much. No, thank you. I think that was wise, as you said, out of an abundance of caution, so thank you. And now, our final committee meeting of the day, we will move to External Affairs. And that's Regent Marlin.
Yep, bringing up the rear here. Okay. Welcome to the External Affairs Committee. Thank everybody for being here. And Sandra, will you please call the roll?
Regent Apple. Regent Gill.
Here.
Regent Green. Regent Griscom.
Here.
Regent Hatch.
Here.
Regent Shockey. Chair Garland.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First thing we're going to talk about is legislative priorities, and I'm going to call on our Vice Chancellor, Kim McCormick, to provide the Tennessee Board of Regents Systems legislative priorities for this year, 2019-20, the second session of the 111th General Assembly.
Yes. Thank you, Regent Barlin. And yes, we are going to present the 5 legislative priorities for 2020 today. After meeting with campus presidents, senior staff, the chancellor, the committee chairs, the following priorities have been established. And these priorities are to secure critical funding, capital outlay, deferred maintenance, and equipment funding requests that we all have had, those things that Vice Chancellor Gibbs mentioned earlier in his presentation, for example. Enhance the statewide safety, campus security of the system's 140,000 students we found this morning. Supporting the efforts to expand college access for all Tennesseans through both traditional and technological innovative instruction. Ensure that our institutions are afforded the flexibility and resources to be nimble in response to continually evolving educational and training demands. And finally, to support TBR's role in the Tennessee overall workforce development efforts and the labor and workforce training that we were discussing earlier as well, and Regent Griscom had that question. The priorities are very broad-based, and that is on purpose, so that we are able to encompass any potential advocacy that our government relations team would need to pursue on January 14th noon as the second session begins. And our staff is ready and willing and able, and Kristen and Chuck do an excellent job, and I'm proud of them every year for what they do. I do want to say that our bill review will be held every Thursday, just like it was last year and the year before. And on Fridays, as you know, we send the information from the bill reviews out to you all as a board. One thing that we are going to truly miss this year is Miss Mary Moody to be there to help us vet all of those things. She's amazing, but maybe we still have that cell phone number in our pockets, so we might be able to get her. And also, the legislative events will begin soon. The first is October the 3rd at TCAT Hohenwald. As we get that schedule developed and built, we will be letting you all know, because I know that many of you will want to attend those and that you need to know as soon as you can. So we are in the process of doing that right now. Also, one thing that I'm pretty proud of is our team has built on our website, External Affairs website, a page where presidents can log their legislative activity. As you all know, the Chancellor and you as a board expect our presidents to stay involved with their local legislative delegations and to keep positive relationships with them. Our presidents have done an amazing job of that this year, and they continue to do that, and will do so through the next session. When the presidents log that information into the system, it goes directly to the Chancellor and it comes to our office. And one thing that it allows us to do that I think is very helpful is it lets us see what conversations are happening across the entire state and in regard to legislation with our president. So it's a useful tool for us. So with that being said, that is the end of our legislative priority discussion, but there is a couple of more things I want to talk about if we don't have questions here.
We have one here.
Okay.
So when we look at Kim now with the enhanced statewide safety and with what we just looked at earlier with the focus on TCAS, I'm assuming that that will be part of the emphasis, even though there may be a broader, but that we will re-emphasize the items in there earlier that really talks about TCAS, correct?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
And Kim, I think I said this to you once before, so I apologize for beating this again. But on the security piece, is it possible to add TBR's 100,000 plus students, faculty, and staff, because it's really everybody's safety and security.
Yes, and that is actually the way it is written in our priorities. That's not on this slide, that from your suggestion, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, as you know, in April, we had the CMT Empowering Education events at 4 of our campuses, and it was a partnership between TBR and Country Music Television. We are starting to get the results in of the actual number of students who enrolled from attending those actual events. They were really concert/college fairs for potential new prospects. Again, we're getting those numbers in. We know that we have at least several dozen brand new students that we would not have had without attending those events. But the thing I really want to talk about with that is an example of how you as a board advocate for us in the public. You spend so many hours here working with us and helping us vet everything that we do and to bring new ideas. But I want to point out Regent Hatch for just a minute and put him on the spot. He recently wrote an article for Higher Learning Advocates that talked about the CMT spotlight in Tennessee's community colleges. It was great earned media for our institutions and for CMT as well. But you talked about what you saw when you attended the event at Motlow and what a inspiring event that was. And we want to thank you for that.
You're welcome, and I'll tell you that when Rick Locker helps me say stuff, it sounds really good. So shout out for Rick Locker. I said this before, that was an incredible event at Motlow, and I'm sure at the other 3 destinations they went to. But I thought the coming together of those rural communities like that was really special. The talent was incredible. I know at Motlow, the local talent that we had from the school that night was really special. So great event, and that's a neat way to collaborate with an organization like CMT in our state.
It was, and we all agree with you about Rick Locker. Regent Barlin, that concludes our report. Thank you.
I wanted to know if Regent Hatch actually sang and played while he was at the event.
I did not, but I sat on the front row and watched, and it was pretty cool.
Well, team, thank you all. We've made great progress this afternoon in our committee work. We, of course, always have our committee chairs meeting a couple of weeks in advance, so we've had a chance to hear from staff and vet a number of these items, and that makes today's work easy, or much easier, I should say. Just as a housekeeping matter, of course, our committee reports and materials for tomorrow will be on our TBR app a little bit later this afternoon. For the convenience of our committee chairs, a copy of your committee report will be at the front desk at our hotel as we return from dinner this evening. Chancellor, any announcements?
Yes, just to give you a quick update on our search for general counsel. As many of you are aware, our general counsel is retiring, but what you may not be aware of is that she's actually leaving tomorrow as soon as the board meeting's over. She is headed to the beach and for a much-deserved vacation. So we're excited about that, but we're extremely nervous about where we are right now within our search. Regent Duckett has been our great chair of this committee, along with Regent Reynolds and Regent Griscom serving on the committee, as well as Vice Chancellor Danny Gibbs and myself. We did go through one first round of interviews. We have not identified a candidate out of that first round, so we are going back to the drawing board to continue to look. In the interim, we have enlisted the support of the former general counsel before Mary Moody, who was Chris Modisher, and she has agreed to come in and help us on an interim basis, as well as soon as Mary gets back from the beach, we are going to enlist her support as well to help us on an interim basis. So we will be covered legally by those who have done the job before, and we will continue to look for the best person for the job. So thank you, Madam Chair.
So remember, you must come home from the beach.
And going to the beach is nice, but I want y'all to know that Chris is in Florence, Italy right now. So she's having a much better retirement than I'm having.
You'll get there. You'll get there. I think the beach is a great first start. That's right. That's right. Well, we look forward to the chance to honor you tomorrow, Mary, and our deep appreciation. Thank you. We will begin tomorrow morning with presentations from both Jerry Young on the TCAT Morristown, which we had a chance to discuss already today, and from President Mixa about all the good work at Walters State. That's at 9 o'clock here Eastern Time, and then, of course, we'll move immediately into our board meeting at 9:30. Dr. Mixa, do you have any announcements for us regarding tonight's events, which we're all looking forward to? And while you come to the microphone, let me say, I don't know that everybody had a chance to see Scott Niswonger, who was bringing some folks through this campus. Of course, it carries the Niswonger name. Scott has made so many wonderful things happen in Greeneville, Tennessee. He is entrepreneur, astute businessman, and one of our state's great philanthropists. And he is living proof of that Churchill line about we make a life by what we get, or we make a living by what we get, and we make a life by what we give. And Scott's generosity to this community and beyond, you see the name all over town, and his work from the Children's Hospital up in Johnson City to everything he's touched here in Greeneville is just extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. He and Nikki are wonderful people, and I believe perhaps both or Scott will be with us at dinner tonight. Is that right?
Yes, both of them will be at dinner with us tonight, and he'll have a few words to say, so we're excited about hearing some of the things that he talks about. And he's got
so make sure you have a
vision.
chance to meet him.
Yeah, just a few things about tonight. Most importantly, it is casual attire. We want everybody to be comfortable and have a good time, so that's really important. The reception starts at 5:30 in the lobby of the General Morgan Inn, so if you have to go back to the other hotels, the Comfort Inn or the Hampton Inn and check in, get yourself checked in. I do believe there'll be shuttles, or there will be shuttles from those hotels back over to here, so and they'll be available to you. If you haven't already done so, please stop at that reception area right in the front and pick up your packet. There's some information in there as well as tickets for tonight's event that you're not going to want to miss those tickets. The dinner will start at 6:30 tonight, so we'll go from the reception area at the General Morgan Inn to the ballroom kind of in the back. We'll have dinner, and depending on how long that takes, towards the end of dinner, we'll have a few remarks. That's where Scott will be speaking, and we'll recognize some special guests. What you will notice at dinner is there'll be no dessert at the dinner table. The dinner tables or the desserts will all be upstairs on the rooftop of the General Morgan Inn, so we hope that you will come up there. There will be entertainment, music, and the desserts will be up there, and some more food and some munchy foods, as well as some stuff to drink as well too. I think that is everything. Does anybody have any questions? Last but not least, at the reception, it will be our High Lonesome Senate will be the band that will be playing for you, bluegrass. And then when we're on the rooftop, we have more of a modern rock and roll band that will be playing at that one. So it should be a lot of fun. We look forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you. I love it when we get to showcase our talent from our campuses as well. So this will be great fun. We'll see everybody in a bit then. Unless anyone has any objection, we are adjourned. Thank you all.